Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. Hello again, and guess what I'm going to talk about? The Type 30 bayonet. This is the Imperial Japanese Type 30 bayonet used during World War II and as early as 1897, I believe. I have a very long video that discusses this specific bayonet and also some of the politics behind the bayonet and the general history of the bayonet going all the way back to 1897, which was very long and a lot of people wanted to see something a little shorter. I'm going to try and do something a little shorter this time. Now, as I mentioned in that video, this bayonet was made in in the Jensen Arsenal, which is actually located in Korea. Actually, after Japan capitulated, lost World War II, and Korea became an independent state again, the Jensen Arsenal became known as the Incheon Arsenal because, well, Jensen was the Japanese name for the city of Incheon. Before World War II, Korea was considered at least by the Japanese, it was considered a colony of Japan. And there were plenty of people. We're not going into all that. Did that in the other video. So what we have is the Type 30 bayonet. You got a blade on this one. It's like 15 5/8 inches. Depending on which arsenal these were coming out of and what year they were being made, the blade is anywhere from 15.5 to 16 inches long. The overall length of the bayonet is somewhere between, in a similar fashion, somewhere around 19 3/4 to 20.5 inches long. It really depends on what year it was made. One of the obvious changes that you will see on this bayonet is in 1943 they got rid of the J guard. So we know that this bayonet is from before 1943 because it has the J guard. And because it was made in the Jensen Arsenal, we know that it was made sometime then between like 1935, 1936 to 1942, because that's when the arsenal was making these bayonets. Now, one thing that a lot of people will say is that every Japanese soldier was issued one of these bayonets, and they make that sound like it's something odd or unique. In reality, it's not as odd or unique as it really sounds, because the Japanese mounted this bayonet on everything from light machine guns to submachine guns to all of their Arisaka rifles. Every rifle that the Japanese had would mount this Type 30 bayonet, as well as all of their small arms other than pistols. So every rifle, every submachine gun, every light machine gun had one of these bayonets. And it would be a very few Japanese soldiers who did not have one of those types of weapons. Even artillerymen and such would have probably been issued a rifle at one point in their military career, so they would have had this bayonet. Same thing with cooks. I mean, the cooks in the United States military, they also had rifles issued to them, so they would have probably had a bayonet issued to them as well. I do not believe these were issued to Japanese NCOs or officers, because the Japanese NCO would receive a NCO's katana and the officers received an officer's katana. But they may have also received a bayonet depending on what weapon they were carrying. Japanese officers tended to carry a pistol if they carried a weapon other than their sword. So I don't know if Japanese officers were issued this. The bayonet comes with a metal scabbard and a leather frog. The frog is buckled into the scabbard. There is no other catch to hold the bayonet into the scabbard. It just is held in place by friction and just by the length of the bayonet. Handles are wood handles that are screwed in place. And well, there you have it. That's about all I really need to say about this. Hopefully this short version about the Type 30 bayonet will be found a little bit more useful for those folks who are just looking for some of the basic details of the Type 30 bayonet. As I mentioned in the other video, this style of bayonet, or this type of bayonet, is one of those bayonets that is highly sought after by collectors of World War II militaria, especially the J-Guard with on the Type 30 bayonet. However, some people in the collector's world will go and seek out every possible kind of Type 30 bayonet, and because they were made by about 12 different factories, most of them in Japan, there's quite a few to look for. And the way people look for those is based off of the tang stamp that you see on the blade. So there's a lot of different variety within the Type 30 bayonets, especially when you start looking at the later war versions that have a much cruder feel to them. This one is probably made closer to 1942 than it was to 1936, but as I don't know enough about the Type 30 bayonets and the Jensen arsenal, they may have been using or making a crude J-guard on these from the get-go. I really don't know, but what I do know is the blade itself is extremely well made, nicely blued, and very stiff and quite sharp for a bayonet, and the scabbard is also quite nice. This was a reproduction frog for it though. Any case, with that said, I will leave you with the slideshow that gives you a little bit more information about the Type 30 bayonet. Hope you find this one interesting and short, and I will talk to you again soon. let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pious. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.